you may assign licenses of SQL Server Enterprise to the hardware, SQL Server Enterprise only, and that covers all the SQL Server instances on the box, with the caveat that those licenses that you assign to the hardware must be covered with software assurance. If they're not covered with software assurance, there's an upper limit. It's not unlimited. The downsides of that, the thing that I think it was 2014, I've seen a company that licensed every single host with SQL Server Enterprise on the platform, and they were losing an incredible amount of money, like millions of pounds, literally millions of pounds on SQL Server Enterprise, because what they were running in those classes are just sporadic instances of SQL Server Standard. That's not cost effective. You really need to have a ratio of, as I mentioned before, a ratio of 20:1 or 30:1. 20 to 30 SQL Standard virtual machines per one host in a cluster to have any commercial effect from unlimited virtualization. So unlimited virtualization makes sense when you technically need to run multiple SQL Server Enterprise editions. Because then that ratio can, depending on the size of that machine, the number of cores at the hardware level, the number of cores required by each VM. So it's not a one formula. You need to always calculate it, compare where is the threshold where you start saving. That's when it makes sense. But then the downside is always performance. You cram all those SQL Server instances onto that host. Will you have enough performance for the peak activity during the time if you're trading, if you're a bank and you have to run daily reports at a certain time? If your single VM consumes 95% of the CPU, it's probably not a good idea to consolidate it on a dedicated SQL Server host. But then again, it may be. So it's a way to save money. It's not black and white. It doesn't apply to all the scenarios. But it's something that is always considered in the project that I run. When I deal with customers, we look at that always. Can we consolidate? How much performance does it require? When you solve these puzzle, what is beneficial is to also engage with SMEs on SQL Server fine-tuning and optimization and performance, because that's what I would always suggest doing, is to bring in another party that will look at the performance impact and security impact of such consolidation. I wouldn't blindly go with just licensing suggestion, no matter how clever that person is, even if that's me. If you like what you've just seen, please send me a connection request on LinkedIn. The link is in the description. And please subscribe to this channel so you do not miss any of the future updates and any of the future live shows that I upload here, at least weekly. Thank you, and safe with knowledge of Microsoft licensing.